This is the film where you'll start to understand why we've got our resident monkeys. Philip Larkin was an English poet. He brilliantly summed up social conditioning. They fuck you up, your mum and dad. They may not mean to, but they do. They fill you with the thoughts they had and add some extra just for you. This is the beginning of social conditioning. It all starts with your parents. As a baby, you're like a sponge, one that soaks up the influences around you. You mimic or copy in your own way. It's monkey do what monkey see. This is how you begin to learn. Our various societies and the people within them are still somewhat backward or primitive. Yes, we've got technology and a veneer of sophistication, but we're still stuck in an adolescent stage. In the first film of this series, we looked at the different forms of suffering, ranging from personal troubles to criminal activity, plus global issues. Humans are basically fucked up, and so successive generations also get fucked up. Some people are more messed up than others, and some seem okay or even good. But the limitations are there, if you know what you're looking at. Generation after generation, people have learned to put self-interest first. Each individual develops a unique variation of this self-orientated strategy from childhood into adult life. This strategy is largely built on how to get what you want, manipulation, as well as minimising the emotional disappointment of rejection or failure. Children quickly learn how to manipulate others in order to get what they want. They build up a complex pattern of behaviour in response to the adults and other children who they spend time with. When they don't get what they want, they kick off, in one way or another or another. Some learn to subtly manipulate, whereas others are as subtle as a brick in the face. By adulthood, there's everything from charm and gentle persuasion to blatant forcefulness and aggression. Whatever the approach, manipulation is still manipulation. When a child starts attending school, this social conditioning process is intensified. The youngster is confronted with teachers and other kids from different backgrounds, rather than just their own family members and neighbours. Peer pressure is especially fierce during the school years. Social groupings begin to emerge. There are the popular kids, the brainy ones, and those who are good at sport. You find out if you're cool, nerdy, a dimwit, or a misfit. There are gangs and individuals who get bullied. You get the idea. You might develop different faces or ways of behaving whilst at school as you find out what works when you interact with different people. It can easily get complex and contradictory. You might behave one way with your parents, yet be very different at school or when you're with your new friends. And it all just happens as you muddle your way through these early years, trying to be accepted and get what you want. Everything quickly develops and is normalised. This is how you emerge, whether you realise it or not. Social conditioning. Monkey do what monkey see. The story of the 5 trained monkeys and a banana brilliantly illustrates the power of social conditioning. A scientist puts 5 monkeys in a cage with a banana high up at the top. The monkeys scrabble to reach the banana, but when they do so, the scientist sprays them with cold water. They get soaked, which translates into 5 unhappy monkeys. Again and again, whenever one of the monkeys reaches for the banana, they all get soaked and cold. It doesn't take long before the group begin fighting any monkey that attempts to get the banana. At this point, the scientist swaps one of the original monkeys with a new one. Since the new monkey knows nothing about the cold water, he climbs up for the banana, only to be set upon by the others. This happens with no further water soaking. One by one, the scientist replaces the trained monkeys with new monkeys, and they're all taught by the group that the banana is off limits. When none of the original 5 monkeys remain in the cage, the banana is left untouched. None of the replacement monkeys understand why. They've been conditioned. The teenage years can be a difficult time. The onset of puberty brings further complications. Sexual urges prompt new emotions and challenges. The matter of self-confidence or insecurity erupts. You might begin to question authority figures like your parents as you learn to stretch your wings and find your own way. When your formal education finishes, what job or career do you pick? Do you join the rat race or put off making the decision? Perhaps you don't even give it a thought, leaping in head first. With a few of the right influences, you might already be determined to live life your way. But usually, for most, the pressure to conform can be suffocating. You give in. The conditioning continues throughout adult life. Family pressures can be acute, with feelings of obligation and guilt common. Conformity encourages various supposed-to-be patterns, restricting any scope for radical freedom of choice. Intimate personal relationships present a further powerful source of influence and restriction. Love can be a great thing, but it can also be blind, with many ending up bitter, resentful at feeling trapped. When this happens over and over, it's not surprising if you turn into an emotional wreck in need of psychotherapy, or else someone with a very tough skin, or something in between. Sadly, you learn to avoid aspects of life, shutting down to some degree, perhaps becoming comfortably numb. You learn to live with all kinds of contradictions and hypocrisy, doing your best to fool yourself and others that this isn't really the case, when it is. Then, eventually waking up to the fact that it's a fucked up mess, you think about change, the search for that something more. But you're already damaged goods. Anyway, that's getting ahead of what we're covering in this film. Obviously, it's worth emphasising that not all conditioning is negative. It's a mixture of the good, the bad, the ugly and the indifferent. That said, it all adds up to a tangled mess of limitations. It restricts aliveness, preventing a fullness of relationship with life. Don't underestimate the effect of all the surrounding influences and behaviour of others. It exerts considerable psychological pressure on how we act. This is especially true of the first few years. Show me the 5-year-old and I'll show you the adult is a true saying. Watch young kids in the playground and you can see how they'll likely turn out later on in life. Study this photograph and have a look at their little faces. It speaks volumes. You can read a lot of quite complex behaviour, even though it's only a still image and the 4 children are young. Each one of them is handling the situation with mobile phones very differently. The behavioural patterns are already well defined. Without a reliable roadmap to a better way of living, a guide which anyone could follow, helping them to achieve their dream, life is pretty much pot luck. You're unlucky if you've been born into an extremely dysfunctional family, where you'll probably have been badly fucked up. And you're lucky if you have parents that have just fucked you up a bit. Most of us are in the normally fucked up range. It's a lottery. Whatever your particular situation, you've still been fucked up. It's rarely, if ever, good. And there's not much help out there to tell you how to deal with the inherited baggage. Society's basic message is accept your lot, fit in and cope. Suck it up and play your part. Cognitive behavioural therapy might offer some help with overcoming a particular phobia or assist with coming to terms with a past trauma. But conventional psychology never goes far enough. It's part of the establishment and has miserably failed to offer anything significantly different to the normal merry-go-round. Most students who study psychology at A-level are disappointed and bored with what's on offer. They were expecting it to be eye-opening, to provide answers as to why people are the way they are. Meanwhile, as there's ignorance of psychology, with people unsure of how to improve, unhelpful emotions are readily flung at others willy-nilly, often dumped on those closest to you, as if it's somehow acceptable. The madness has been normalised. It's tragic and backward. Whilst technology gets rapidly better and better, human psychology seems to be stuck. And it's not as if social conditioning hasn't been identified or studied. Way back in biblical times, they had some comprehension of the sins of the father. even if the mother's contribution to the fuck-up was overlooked or ignored, not to mention the auntie and uncle. How long does humanity have to carry on needlessly suffering, missing out on a much better life before a process of awakening happens? Philip Larkin's poem was written 50 years ago, and parents are still fucking up their precious children all over the world. It might not be deliberate, but the psychological avoidance of making excuses, blaming others, and dumbing down through distractions is intentional. And if you want to spread the responsibility for the mess onto society, letting off the individual, then why do we have the democratic vote? You can't have it both ways. Every adult is responsible for what they do, and so individually accountable. There's no getting off the hook. Selfishness, as we define the whole normal mentality, is a shit strategy for survival. It's better than nothing because it keeps our existence going, and there are good bits within it, but it's still crap. How many more wars and other armed conflicts, terrorist attacks, murders, rapes, or even just all of the superficial bitching and moaning do we have to endure? It's killing us, either literally or else in spirit, as it limits our potential aliveness. In the everyday sense, the self-orientated psychology keeps people small and shut off. When a new team member gets involved with our work, we set them the task of observing and recognising selfishness, both in themselves and in others. It's a simple but effective exercise. It's like squirting WD-40. The aim is to loosen up the rust before attempting to start using a spanner or wrench for undoing what is stuck. You can't start sorting out a problem until you first properly understand what the problem is. But in the case of self-orientated behaviour, a lot of it is normalised and therefore blindly accepted or unquestioned. Avoidance, which we'll be looking at in the next film, helps maintain the fixed mindset. It's as if you've been brainwashed and your thinking skills have become covered in rust, seized up, which is why you first need a good squirt or two of WD-40, metaphorically speaking. It's like taking a remedy for constipation to get everything moving again. You have to realise what's going on all around you and with yourself. It's a process of awakening before any renewal can take place. It's beginning to see. Just observe what's what. Does it all boil down to me first, me and mine, defended with endless excuses and other justifications? Open up your eyes and see. You don't need to think about what to say or do at this stage. It's just looking. And there's no need to add to the existing blame game. Keep it simple. Just observe. You'll start to see patterns of behaviour happening again and again. You'll increasingly realise just how fucked up everybody is, to one degree or another, and how limited and small-minded it all is. When you see this, you'll be more able to move forwards, to undo your social conditioning, to change your life. You won't be as stuck as before. You'll be motivated to be different, rather than being part of the rat race or mindlessly joining in with the crowd. Get rid of the rust and then freedom becomes possible. And our 16 key factors are the tools. You should be getting the idea of what we're going on about. However, if you haven't yet sussed it out, there's a major complication. Actually, it's massive. The mother of all complications. I'm talking about psychological avoidance. And that's a topic of our next film. Excuses and blaming others. Avoidance fucks you up.